Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time in October. Yes, we are rolling through 2023 like a steel knife through butter, and I'm happy to say that yesterday was my 5th anniversary here at Area 58. It was also my 64th birthday. I actually did my first show here on my 59th birthday. I feel pretty good. I think I could do another 64 years of Topic Time. But before we start today, I got to read these incredible underwriters. We got a guest in Virginia. I just found out that's where he is. They're sending me all over. I love that. He's a writer, and we're going to talk all about that and cover his situation. But like I said, I got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So we have Rodney's Kitchen in Halifax. We have Bulldog Sports Cards in Middleborough. We have Salon Giovanni in Marshfield. We have Kingston Auto Body in Kingston. We have The Main Ingredient, Just Good Food in Middleborough. We have Crazy Axes Recreation Center in Hanover. We have Pal's Driving School in Middleborough, setting up classes for December of 2023, January and February of 2024, but December's filling up, so you better get on it to check the website in Middleborough there. We got Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We got New England Floorscapes in Middleborough. We got Carver Jewelers, Ronald R. and Lily Delano Goldsmiths right here in the building. We have Pembroke Radiator in Pembroke. We have Hanover House of Pizza in Hanover. They make great Sicilian pizza, Greek salads, have awesome people working there, and they deliver. We have Tom Auto in Middleborough. We have the Gun Runner LLC, the Second Amendment Freedom Store in Middleborough. We have the Auto Shop in Hanover. Thank you again, Ed Rooney. And we have DNS Auto Works and Collision Specialists in Abington, right up the road on Route 58. And so I want to thank you guys very much. And now, Mr. Anthony Cortez, you look like a very kind of like a free-spirited person. You got a cool picture behind you. And how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So you're an author now. When Jeffrey set this up, he gave me what's the title of the book you're currently working on that he mentioned?
Intrusive Thoughts.
Intrusive Thoughts. Okay. Now tell me a little about the book. Just sum it up in a couple of paragraphs, verbally, and we'll break it doan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's about an orphan. So the orphan has his parents left him when he was 2 years old, dropped him off at the police station.
Okay.
And he has sleep paralysis, depression, anxiety, and his sleep paralysis demon bites one of his classmates. So it's a mystery to figure out what happened with that.
Wait a minute, hold up. What happened? Who? What did you say? Street cross? What was that? I didn't hear that.
Oh, sleep paralysis.
Oh, sleep paralysis?
Yeah, sleep paralysis. So that's like you're sleeping and you get like you're half awake and you're half asleep, so you kind of see stuff and you're kind of like stuck. You can't move. Very, very creepy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've had bouts of that too. Not as bad as this guy, obviously, but okay.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, is this a true story or is it fiction?
No, definitely fiction. I mean, there's certain things, I think people insert even a little bit of stuff into their book, so there is stuff, that like the depression, anxiety, loneliness part is definitely like, stuff that I deal with. I think a lot of people deal with, but no, I don't suffer from some sleep paralysis.
No. This isn't a story. I know it's not a story about you, but it's fiction. It's fiction. It is fiction. Okay. All right. Okay, well, who do you base the character on? Anybody you know? Or do you just make them up, or what?
Just make them up. The character goes through a lot, almost just like a poster child. For these mental issues. Like I say, anxiety, loneliness, depression.
Right. Okay. All right. So tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your childhood. I mean, you weren't an orphan, were you?
No, I was very fortunate. I grew up with two parents.
Good.
Yeah, so
I'm glad to hear it. Okay, and
but
what?
I definitely didn't have like the most friends. Sometimes, like there was definitely gaps where I didn't have friends in my childhood. And it was. And I don't think anybody's childhood is like super flowery, but it definitely informed some of the choices made about the book.
Okay, I understand. All right. Well, I know what you're saying. I didn't have a lot of friends as a child either, and I really don't now as well as an adult. So, I mean, but
Mhm.
you got to make the most of that. You got to plow through. You got to plow through the dissonance and all that sort of thing. All right. Well, did you? I know, is this a completed book that you've already done, or are you working on it still?
So the series is not completed, but the
Oh,
second book is completed.
oh, it's a series. Okay.
Hmm.
And how long do you now? Are you basically working? Are you basically taking snippets of this kid's life and moving them forward, like through the timeline from childhood to adulthood? Is that how this works?
No, this story is exclusively about this incident that happened to him as a kid, about the whole sleep paralysis demon.
Okay. Now the sleep paralysis. I mean, it is a fascinating thing because we all have to sleep, and it's kind of it's amazing. I sleep a lot. I actually, I mean, I get up this. I mean, what I usually do even on the day of a show, I'll get up real early in the morning. I'll work out. I'll have breakfast, and then I'll take a nap, and then I'll work out some more, and then I'll take another nap. I mean, I'm just saying, and it's funny because today, as I was, I had like a slip. I slipped into a dream state for about a split second. I actually dreamed that I was walking outside and somebody yelled at me from a car window and I flipped them off. That was just a dream, but it was amazing how real it seemed just for that split second. And I can,
Hmm.
and we take our sleep for granted, but it's really sleep is like, when you think about it, I mean, it is the corridor to the next level of existence, because after all, at some point, we're all going to be we're all going to pass the death sign, and then we're going to be at that next level, or that next pinnacle. And that's basically what sleep is. They say it's the little sister of death. So that's basically what, in a story like this, people are going to see that. And I'm sure they're going to suddenly start rethinking their sleep issues more than ever.
Hmm.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Now
Hmm.
tell me about some of the other things you've done. What did you do? What did you like to do as a kid? Were you musical? You look like you're a musician somehow. You kind of
Really?
look like Stevie Wonder, man. Except you can see, right?
I can see. No,
Okay, good.
actually, I was big into fiction. Like I really liked like comics, manga, TV shows,
Okay.
cartoons. I'm into sports now, but as a kid I was exclusively into, yeah, like media, and then I actually wanted to be a writer since I was like 14.
Okay.
Um got started there, yeah.
Okay. Well, what did you write when you were 14?
Oh man. So I saw Breaking I saw Superbad and Inglorious Bastards around the same time.
Okay.
When that so I was kind of imitating. I was trying to write like raunchy comedies. I was trying to write like really grim kind of dramas and stuff like that. Like trying to be Tarantino, trying to be Judd Apatow.
Okay. All right. So you did that at 14. Okay. Are you college educated? Did you take any literary courses at high school or college? If you are, tell me about that.
I took one creative writing class in high school, and then I mean that's pretty much it. I'm self-taught.
All right, good. Okay.
Um, a lot of the stuff that I learned was just through watching. I used to just watch movies crazy. I mean, there was a summer I rented 100 movies from Redbox.
Okay.
I was out of school, just watching movies crazy. So it was that I used to watch like YouTube videos. Like video essays was a big thing for me as well. And I was writing. I was writing a lot
Okay.
as well.
Well, that creative writing course, I would recommend everybody at some point should take one, because what you do is when you have a creative writing course, you bounce your ideas off other people, and it's always fascinating, and you never know how some people have some pretty incredible skills when it comes to conveying inside messages to the external world, and it's an incredible experience sharing that stuff. Because I actually wrote a book of short stories myself in the '90s, and the guy that published it was a professor of short story writing at Bridgewater State University up here in Massachusetts. And 10 years before he was the one he printed the book, but 10 years before I'd taken his course. And then between that time and the time that I finished the book, I had no idea that I was going to finish, create a whole book of short stories, because I always wanted to do that. My parents to this day, they're still around in their 80s, and they always had a good sized library. And I was always, I always encouraged myself to read. I did as much reading as I could and tried to pattern myself after authors and stuff. And Kurt Vonnegut was one of my heroes, if my literary heroes. I don't know if you know who he is, right?
Who?
Kurt Vonnegut.
What did he write?
Well, he wrote Slaughterhouse-Five. He wrote The Sirens of Titan. Check it. You should Google him. He's passed away, but he was
for sure.
Yeah. Well, do you have any authors that you wanted to emulate, or was it just for movies that you got your ideas?
It was mainly screenwriters.
Okay.
Truthfully, I mean, some authors. I mean, Lemony Snicket.
Okay.
Really enjoyed that as a kid. I mean, Stephen King, obviously.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go.
It was want to be Stephen King, So I was aware of authors. I grew out of my book reading phase pretty early once I discovered like manga and comics and stuff.
Okay. Well, tell me about how do you somehow collaborate your reading of comic books with your written work? I mean, you mentioned comics. I'm just wondering, and have you ever created any comics too, or not?
Yeah, no, this is a comic. The comic Intrusive Thoughts 2, 1 and 2 is a comic.
Oh, this is an animated comic book. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a comic book. Yeah.
Oh no! See, I'm glad I asked because I did not know that. I thought I saw something like that Jeffrey texted me about you. I didn't realize that. Okay, now I get it. So everything is illustrated. Is that right? And with captions, or with graphic bubbles, right? Is that how it works?
Speech bubbles, yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
Okay. So do you do your own illustrations as well?
No, I'm just a writer.
Okay. Well, who do you have illustrating it?
Lots of people, man. I have a lot of series. This guy that's doing this one is DNS, and I've worked on, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many series at this point. I've been very busy this year.
Okay.
But I've worked with dozens of artists at this point.
Okay. So basically, how do you find these illustrators? Do you just reach out to them on social media? Do you put ads in the paper in your neighborhood, or what, or how does
Definitely
that
social media, like Twitter is big, Instagram is big as well. Sometimes Facebook for sure. But you just scroll through, you see an artist that looks good, you go, find the rates, and then give my idea, kick it back.
Sweet, I know that. That's great that you're so well. So how many illustrators have you had so far? If you can ballpark that, if you're not sure, it sounds like you've had quite a few. Maybe more than a dozen.
More than a dozen for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like it sounds like they like working with you too, if you have that many.
Yeah, well, you get variant covers. So variant covers are a different artist than the one doing the main comic.
Okay.
And so you count. I mean, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to say, man. It's a lot.
Right. Okay. Now you say you've been busy this year. Have you been busy with more writing, or I mean, are you doing any other work, any other writing in addition to your what was the? I'm sorry. Say it again. The name of the
Intrusive Thoughts.
The Intrusive Thoughts. Are you doing any other writing in addition to that currently?
Absolutely. So I released 5 other comics this year.
Okay. Well, tell me about the comics you've released. In addition to Intrusive Thoughts, what other ones are there that you have released?
So there's a supernatural revenge series called Decay, which is like a Pet Cemetery kind of zombie story. I did a wrestling comic book called Tap or Die. What else? I did a fantasy manga called I Wish the Gods Were Dead. And wow. I have like a full slate of stuff coming out next year, like a crazy amount of comics coming out next year.
Okay. Have you been reviewed at all? Online or anywhere else?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, tell me about how that went down. And how many reviews have you gotten? Have you ever been? This is it. It's a unique situation. I don't know of too many authors that create. I mean, I have to admit this is good because it's original. Obviously, it sounds like the stuff you do is original, and that's your big niche right now. Is that you do things that are a little different than most people when they write stories about somebody that has a tough issue. They don't turn it into a comic strip like you have, a comic book or whatever, or they don't do it like an animated illustrations, which is what you're doing, and that's got to be something that gets a lot of people's attention, I assume, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, I mean, Well, how many? All right, who's reviewed you so far? Can you tell me about that? And where have you been reviewed?
It's not nobody major, like no, right, like nobody in CBR, just like smaller publications that
Okay,
like taking it. And you know what? There's some reviews that I'm not always aware of, like who's reading my book or who's not.
okay,
I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of readers. Like maybe I think at least 1,000 readers.
that's great.
Not for every book, but just at least 1,000 people have read one of my books. So it's hard to keep track of like who they're telling and who's reviewing what.
Yeah, I know, but not that's good because now you're increasing your volume. Obviously, the more people. So, how do you sell your books? Do you do it online, or do you sell them in the stores on consignment, or how does that work?
So I haven't gotten to any stores yet.
Okay,
Right now, I release primarily through Kickstarter,
okay,
and then whatever inventory I have left over, I'll take it to a con. Like I did 5 or 6 cons this year, probably five. I did 5 cons this year. I did
talking
like
about what
8 cons last year.
you're talking about Comic Cons, right? Okay, that
Conventions, yeah.
conventions, right? So that's what that is, right? I understand a lot of celebrities go to these events. Have you seen a lot of them at these events? Actors and people that
I'm
famous.
glued to my table, so I haven't really seen any like major celebrities yet. But fingers crossed.
Okay. Have you ever done it? Have you ever turned any of your work in a film at all, or had anyone do it for you, or are you considering?
No, not yet.
Okay, are you considering it
Something I
eventually?
was considering for sure. I'm focused so much right now on like the actual production of the book.
Okay.
That's just such a whole other, avenue, right? And then on top of having a full-time job. So it's not something I put too much thought into. I try to keep things compartmentalized.
No, I understand. You have to have your priorities ahead of your lesser important things until they change. Obviously, the more you do it, the more likely sooner at some point when you have time and when it's ready to go, when the internal mode gets firing, you'll know and you'll go and take the next step. I know how that works. You'll feel it when it's ready. That's all it is. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So when you go to these Comic Cons, you sign books to people. Is that how that works? You give autographs and things like that, and like that kind of
I
thing.
sell mostly copies of the comic book, yeah.
Okay.
Um, had a really good year this year, looking to ramp up next year,
Okay.
do even more shows if possible.
Okay. Where did you do them this year? I mean, have you gone all around the country, or just Virginia, or where have you
Well,
gone?
just the East Coast. So I had two in Virginia, three,
Okay.
I had four in Virginia, one in Baltimore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a start. And I assume you're going to expand more next year, right? Or as soon as you can, more you right, the more you're going to expand, the more your shows you're going to look to occupy. But I guess you have to make sure it's logistically feasible because you're going to be doing a lot of traveling to get these shows, to get to these shows. And, I mean, you don't want to use up your time element because if you go too far away and, you'll burn yourself out, I guess. Right. So you have to totally moderate your intentions so that so that it works, so that it plays into your curriculum, just comfortably, so you don't have to worry about, taking, what they say, biting off more than you can chew, I suppose, right?
Absolutely. So next year I'm trying to do North Carolina
Okay.
and then maybe South Carolina. And then so I'm trying to stay on the East Coast mostly, because you
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
like if I was doing comics full time, that would go all over the place. But I traveled just for instance, I traveled to the West Coast twice this year
Yeah. Okay.
on vacation, just on trips, and that was hellish. I can't imagine like doing that and then selling at a con for 2 days or 3 days or whatever, and then being back on a plane. Like I can't imagine.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to pace yourself, basically. So how much writing do
Pretty
you do
much.
how much writing? Now you have what is your full-time job? Does that have anything to do with writing at all besides the writing?
No, it does not. It is not at all. But as far as how much writing I do, I mean, it depends, right? Like, because, like I said, I keep it compartmentalized. So, for instance, I had a bunch of there was a point where I had like 3 or 4 work for hire jobs.
Okay.
So I was writing every day. I was writing 10 to 20 pages of comic book script a day.
Wow.
Just trying to knock that out, get that pile down. I was actually very, very overwhelmed. And then once that's down, it's like, okay, I can focus on my own stuff. And then I don't have to write my own stuff every day because like, I can write infinitely faster than I can like put out a comic book, So um it all depends. Like you have, I mean, I find personally, and I think a lot of creators would maybe agree if they're like at my level is like some days you're writing and some days you're finding artists, you're finding,
Yeah.
you're thinking about strategies, you're doing marketing, etc.
Okay, I understand. So yeah, you're already pacing yourself, and you know what you have to do it the way it feels right, and you don't want to overdo it. Obviously, you got a lot on your plate. It sounds like, and
Yeah, that is true. That is a true statement.
that is true. Okay, so what did you say? You're in the second. You're in the second series. You're in the second chapter of oh, I can't. The
The truth.
Truth of Thoughts. Yes. Okay, second chapter, right?
Mhm.
Second volume. And do you have any idea how long it's going to be when you finish, or are you not sure yet?
6 issues for sure.
6 issues. Okay, so you're in the second out of 6, and that's so it's going to be a while before you finish.
It's gonna be quite some time. Yeah.
Okay,
It's gonna be a while.
okay. So you said you were into sports now. Tell me about that.
Oh yeah. So I'm a big Eagles fan.
Okay,
Um,
well, I would be too.
what
If
happened?
I was, I know they're doing well, not better than our Patriots up here.
Oh, you Patriots fan. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like a Steph Curry fan in basketball, and I can watch any other sport. I got into the World Cup. I was watching the World Cup with my friends. I never thought I'd like football, or soccer. I mean, yeah, I never thought I'd like that, and I enjoyed it. So I'm actually looking to start some sports comics. Actually,
That'd be great. Do you? I mean, no. What about you? Are you athletic yourself? You look athletic. You played sports.
no, I was a nerd, man. I wish I would. There was a path I could have taken in life where I could have definitely been more athletic than I am now. But no, not not an athlete.
You're not an athlete, all right, but that's okay. You're pretty healthy, I guess, right? You look like. Do you have a family? Do you have wife and kids, or are you by yourself, or how's?
I'm single, or I have a girlfriend. I have a
Oh,
girlfriend.
okay, nothing wrong with that. So, well, I assume she's pretty supportive of your comics as well, and very helpful.
She's actually my editor for a lot of my comics. She's great.
Okay, now let me ask you this: do you ever consider are any of your comics humorous? Because that's kind of what I was when I look at something. I mean, I've never. That's the thing. I've never really seen comic books that weren't supposed to be humorous to some degree. But what about yours? Do you have any that are?
I haven't. I don't have any right now that are, but that's something that I'm working towards. I have a couple comedies in the works right now.
Okay,
I would say like 4 or 5 that most of them will release actually this year and next year. So it's definitely something that I want to branch out into.
okay. So you've already started working on comedies, right? Okay, yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I told you, like my biggest influence was Judd Apatow and Tarantino. So they both do comedy, and then Judd Apatow is obviously like that's like 40-year-old virgin, super bad.
okay.
He does a lot of comedy, so that's what got me into writing. So I've always wanted to dip my toe in that.
Okay. Yeah, I figured that the way I mean you do, I mean I figured that you're doing all these zombie comics and stuff and horror stuff that at some point you'll figure out a way to combine it in the dark humor, and that would be great. That's the kind of thing that gets people's attention, hits them where they live.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So what how do you budget your time so that you can write it and still do your job? Do you just do it on weekends, or you just do a little every
I
day?
don't budget my time, man. I do what I can when I can. I need a system or something.
Okay.
But there's just so like I've overextended myself significantly. Like I have so many projects coming out next year. Like an insane amount,
Yeah.
and it's good. It's a good problem to have. Like
It is.
I wouldn't trade it. I mean, there was a point earlier in this year where I felt like I was going nowhere. So you got to be ready to take opportunities when they come, and you know, do what you can.
Right, exactly. Okay. Are you musically inclined at all? Because you guys, like the first thing I thought when I saw you was reggae music. That's what you remind me of.
Oh, because
Bob
of the
Marley.
hair.
You said Stevie Wonder, but Bob Marley too.
I'm Molly too, man. Thank you. No, I have no music. I really, really, I am an idiot at pretty much anything that isn't writing. Writing and sports. That's the only two. I've like doubled down on my interests so hard that I am barely a functioning adult.
Okay. Well, guess what? Guess what, Anthony? We're down to the final 5 minutes of the show. I hope you had fun talking to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I can't believe it went by so fast. All right. So, like what I told you at the beginning, I want you to look at your phone there and give shouts out to a few people that are going to see. I guess you can start with your girlfriend, your family, and then we'll wrap the show up with my music the way we began it. So go ahead.
Oh yeah, shouts out to my lovely girlfriend slash editor Hannah, my mom, Mama Stokes, and Jeff. You know Jeff, who's helping me
Yeah,
out in
Jeffrey.
this,
Thank you,
this interview.
Jeffrey.
Jeff,
Exactly.
thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Exactly. Ditto, ditto, kiddo. All right. Now, if you had fun with me, if you know anybody, now I'm getting more guests to word of mouth now than ever before. So if you had a good time talking to me, and you know anybody that has interesting, stories to tell or whatever, you got my digits. Well, actually, you don't have them, but refer him to Jeff, and he'll, if they want to do the show.
I'll catch you on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are you on Facebook? Okay. What I'm going to do is that's the other thing. When we wrap the show up, I'm going to connect with you on Facebook. Are you okay doing a picture for Facebook, by the way, before we wrap it up? After we wrap it up, I mean, my tech guy will
Yeah,
take it,
yeah.
then I can hook up with you, and then I can tag you in it. All right. Do you have anything coming up before we wrap it up? Do you have anything coming up in the next few weeks, as the fall progresses that you want to mention that you might have overlooked? If not, that's fine, but I just want to make sure you didn't forget anything.
No, just intrusive thoughts too. That's all. That's all we're focused on right now.
All right. That's what we're focusing on. All right. So you okay to stick around and do a pic for Facebook?
For sure. Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
yeah, try, and if you can, again, spread the word about Topic Time if you have fun. All right, we're going to wrap up the first show in October. All right, folks, thanks for watching. We're going to see you next time. Take care. Signing off. Over and out, out and over.